Hey Gage, how's it going,
Robertski.
man?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Just, coming back from the holidays, seeing
Oh
what the
yeah, you guys have
craziness.
that late Thanksgiving, hey?
Yeah, yeah. The Thanksgiving. I always find it kind of strange that we took this holiday, take a little time off, and then a few weeks later take more time off for more holidays. But but it is
Hey,
what it is. We can't control these things, I suppose.
that is what it is. Oh, I've just been outside. We're just getting the real true snowfall of the year.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, it's a little bonkers.
Does the snow stick on the ground there?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like Colorado, right? Like we're about 4 hours north of Montana. But
I grew up in
hey,
Colorado.
yeah.
That's why I asked, because in Colorado, the snow doesn't really stick in the front range area. It sticks in the mountains. But anyway,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, it looks like you're eating some noodles there, man.
yeah, I'm a big noodle fan. And normally I make it into like a noodle soup because I'm also a big soup fan. So I'd have like a ramen style soup. But today I'm trying something different. I grabbed some of these purple forbidden
Forbidden rice. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
rice ramen noodles from Lotus and threw in some broccoli and chili bamboo and just quickly made a little sriracha miso sauce for it. Pretty tasty.
Ah, well, I'm going for the millet brown rice one.
Oh,
These are
nice.
like such a go-to, and I used a red bean miso, a sweet red bean miso, and then just kind of made my own sauce with it might be a little crazy with a little sauerkraut that we make, and yeah, and some nutritional yeast. And here's one of my secrets. I kind of just put a little the water, noodle water in the bowl,
Yeah.
and then just drain it. But
Nice.
here, I can still hear you. I just
Okay, cool.
draining the
Yeah,
noodles.
so you're a noodle fan as well, and I noticed we're both putting some miso in there. That's cool. Like
Well,
mine's, I
it's
guess, but yeah.
for me, it's such a comfort food this time of year.
Yeah. For me, it's a comfort food all times of years. I'm a little bit like noodle bowl kind of stuff is one of my favorite kind of meals. But yeah, I've actually usually keep those brown rice ones in stock as well. I get this big bag from Costco because I like not having as many packages to throw away. So it just makes it easier to buy in bulk. They only have this one flavor at Costco though, or at least the Costco's I've gone to. So
Yeah,
every
well,
now and then I'll pick up some of the other styles or varieties at the store.
yeah, I like that Costco just has one flavor, just from the perspective of it's really good for like non-mass retailers. Oh, hello,
Yeah.
cat. For non-mass retailers to be able to, also be able to sell Lotus Foods products, and yeah, and not feel like they're having to compete on price all the time,
Never
which you
thought
can
about
never
it
do
that
as
way.
an
That's a good
independent
point.
retailer, right? And then for someone like Lotus Foods, I think having Costco probably just allows them to get a volume. And then I, kombucha.
Actually, doing a little pomegranate green tea.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll have to do an episode on these at some point if you can
Yeah,
get them
yeah,
up
for
there. I'm
sure.
not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can grab those up here either. But yeah, what I find is companies that do get into Costco just really have to up their quality. And not that these companies didn't have quality before, but just to be able to be ready for any Costco audits that may come on. And yeah, it's
Interesting.
quite a
Yeah.
bit of a rigor to get into Costco. So,
Yeah, I'd
and
say definitely say most of our clients are always pitching to try to get into Costco in one form or another. Cause like you said, it does build in some base stability, having that big of a client there that can help you with operations, help you make that next jump. But yeah,
yeah,
I'd actually been buying Lotus for a while before I knew they were in Costco. And actually, I wasn't shopping at Costco at all when I was living in a tiny apartment because there's just no space to put all that bulk. So I was always just buying these 4 packs, but I think they also have individual packs, which I'm not a fan of just that much packaging, but convenience. People like their convenience. But I've been a big fan of this brand for a while. I love They're focused on organic, just super simple ingredients with quality, kind of often like more heirloom variety of rice. And then the nutrition profile, like, a lot of people grew up like in college or whatever, eating a bunch of top ramen or other kind of cheap ramen
Ichiban
packets,
was
and maybe still
premium.
do.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
still do, right? But they're often like deep fry or fried first before they're dried. So they're usually they don't start with as good of ingredients, but then B, it's fried, so you're eating just a lot of fat and other things in there. But these, simple ingredients. There's only in this one organic black rice flour, organic brown rice flour, organic white rice flour. That's it. It's just 3 rice flours. That's all it is, right? So it's nice that it's just a nice clean ingredient panel, and then it's only 1.5 grams of fat, 2 grams of protein, 1 gram of fiber. So it's just a nice base to build a meal around, which is what's always drawn me.
Druid, you're a druid?
It's a druid me.
Yeah, it's
Druid
a
me
new moon
into
coming
them.
up. What's your druid practice this new moon?
Yeah, totally. What pulls you into Lotus?
I think it's similar idea, that it's just a really nice product. My wife decided to give up gluten for I don't know, 6 months or something like that. Not that she was gluten intolerant, but she just decided to give it up. And so when I would go to Costco, I saw these noodles, and like, yeah, they're so tasty. And now kind of it's in our staple weekly go-to. We don't know what to make. It's like, okay, yeah, let's put some noodles on and go for it. And I like that. I mean, I'm not as big of a fan, or not as big of a fan, but not as I'm not really into the nutritional side of it. I like how food feels in my body. So if the food feels, maybe it's intuitive eating or something, but if the food feels good, then yeah, I continue to eat it. And
Interesting.
I can't remember the last time I had any sort of top ramen or those other, but yeah, just having a big bowl of warm liquid, and then all those probiotics, like with the miso, and then we make our own sauerkraut. It just, yeah, it's almost like a macrobiotic bowl. And yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, I haven't tried putting sauerkraut in, but I put a lot of other delicious things in, like miso, like yourself. I almost always put some miso in it, and then just different like chili bamboos or broccoli or corn or different kind of nice healthy organic plants like that. And then I often go soup based, but I like to shake it up sometimes. So I was trying more of a not quite soup, but nice sauce on it today. But yeah, they are a great go-to. We just always have them in the house for when we're running out of whatever we cooked for the week or something like that, and just or just want a comfort meal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, looks like it's time to dive into the brand / impact.
Yeah, it's impact, but rice is life, and I think we forget, the farmers, especially being here in North America. I know California grows quite a bit of rice, but just, how rice is such a staple in so many diets around the world, whether it's the global South or what have you. It's really a fantastic plant. So Lotus Foods, I guess the other thing, I've been buying Lotus Foods for a while, and then we met we met at the B Corp retreat in LA there, Ken and Carol, and
yeah, they were fun to hang out with.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to remember the name of the place that we were at.
That bar, the after hours kind of bar thing that we were hanging out at.
Like poolside.
Yeah, that was cool. I wish I could remember the name. They had a nice like lounge area near the bar, but then yeah, that pool area was really nice too.
Yeah, and just hanging out with so many like-minded people that are using business as a force for good. And I just really got to know them. I mean, I knew of them, but got to know them as owners of this fantastic company. And I think they're also last session we did, we talked about OSC squared when we went through and unpacked the whole which brand was
compostable
that?
packaging, or
compostable packaging and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, just there's some great companies doing great things. And I remember I was actually trying to find it prior to our call, but more crop per drop. I love that. So there's,
Nice.
so they talk about water savings, and water is a huge, or rice is a huge, well, it's a water-based crop. They use quite a bit of water, and especially when we're starting to talk about water scarcity in parts of the world, especially in California, right? And I know Lundberg does some really great stuff around water saving as well. But this was the one I was looking for: SRI rice farming, and really, just kind of that social side of things. And could you imagine, like, this is it's not for the faint of heart to plant rice. Like, you have to be comfortable with gushing around, or mud gushing around in your toes. But I think this is so awesome that we get to see this on their website.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have no idea how rice is grown, right? So to see pictures of people walking around in these rice paddies mushing around in the mud. I've heard, I think I saw one farm, but I also found out that cranberries, I think, are grown kind of similarly. Like you have to flood the field or something. Like, I guess another name for them is bogberries.
Bogberry. Well, I don't know why that didn't take off, eh?
Yeah, totally. But yeah, it is interesting to be able to see how things are grown. But it's nice that they're sharing information on their better way of growing that conserves water.
Yeah, for sure. And even just look at those tap roots on that SRI rice versus the non-SRI. And yeah, I was trying to find the SRI acronym. Oh, system of rice intensification. So yeah, so more crop per drop.
That's some intense rice right there.
That's some intense rice. And look at this. They've actually quantified it of how many gallons. Whoa, approximately 500 million gallons less water used. What do you think 500 million gallons of water looks like?
It looks like a lot. I have no idea. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
I was reading something recently about water saving, and I want to say like the average shower is like 12 gallons, or it was something around that. I want to say maybe it was less, might be like 8 or something like that, but that might put it into context of how much water that might be.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's a lot of showers.
For sure.
For sure. And then
I think if I was calculating another way of looking at it, I think I was calculating that somewhere around 300 gallons a year is how much like a person might consume in a year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
300 gallons. Yeah.
I'd have to go back and double check my stats, but I was calculating stuff. But anyway, that would would definitely be a lot of water.
Yeah, that'd definitely be a lot of water. 25 years they've been around doing some fantastic stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know they'd been around that long. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember, I think it was Carol who was just sharing that they had come back from a trip maybe in India and had brought some of the forbidden rice that you're eating.
Yeah, I seem to remember something like that. Ken talking about that it was just all really about the quality of the rice, like just really good rice out there compared to what most people are consuming, and they just became big rice advocates, and then found that they could just launch their own company selling that rice in different forms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's awesome, and I love those stories. So let's look at B Corp here. Get to see all my searches and everything that's going on. But yeah, it's just as I'm talking here, I'm just feel so good about supporting such an awesome brand, and that it feels good in my body, and it's a staple in our diet. And then what would be interesting, like a lot of other brands, is how do we like what is our contribution to the actual savings? So this impact calculator that they have.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see, you know, my personal impact as a consumer, like how I'm contributing to that. But they're doing all the amazing things, right? Like regenerative, organic.
Yeah, when you go to their website, or meet them at a trade show or whatever, you hear of a lot of what they're doing. But I think that's one area that I feel like they're missing is on pack. They really almost say nothing about what they're doing. They have the certifications on there: organic, gluten-free, non-GMO, etc. So you at least get an idea that they're doing something interesting. But this whole wall of text on the back, and they don't mention anything about SRI, water savings, anything about mission or better pay or any of that kind of stuff. So it's all very just product focused. So I'd be interested to hear from them, like why they're doing that. Like, are they finding that because they're trying to like tackle a category that people are familiar with, by which I mean noodle packets, but theirs are different, they don't cook quite the same way, and so on and so forth, that maybe they feel like they have to spend most of their time telling people how to use it, and that after they taste the product, maybe they think then they'll go and look on the website. But I feel like it could be worth, even on just one of these side panels that's completely unused, like why wouldn't they say something about SRI or water savings or better pay for farmers, etc.
Yeah, I think there was a study that came out. I don't know if it was Gallup or another one, just around purpose. And it was kind of this purpose paradox where consumers really want to support brands that are authentic with their purpose, right? And it's almost kind of the opposite. So we're seeing a lot of greenwashing, purpose washing is kind of the new thing. And they're just so authentic, but they don't share that story on their packaging. And then coming to their website, what I find really interesting is that a lot of the websites that we go to is buy this, buy that. And this is just all about everything awesome that they're doing. So here's something here, Gage. They say 4 billion gallons of fresh water, enough to give half a gallon of water to every person on the planet.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. And this is over the 25 years of they've been doing this. And then reduced greenhouse gas emissions by 35,000 tons, which is like taking 7,000 cars off the road for a year. So some pretty cool stuff. And then sourced over 25 million gallons of rice.
So speaking of the water, while we're talking about that a little bit, I did just do a double check, and it was the average American shower is 17 gallons of water. So if you think about that, 300 gallons, that's quite a few showers for that.
300
rice.
or 300 million?
Whatever their stat was, the 300 million or 300 something. But that would be a ton of water, of course.
Oh, interesting. So they trademarked forbidden rice.
Oh, really?
Back in 95, yeah. How fun would that be, hey? I have my vegan in the VW kind of journey and stuff that got me into organic food. But, just being so passionate about rice and going to these countries, just looking at 99 supply chain trip through Bhutan, Thailand, Laos, China. Like, how fun would that be?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's great that they did all that work too. It's interesting. I don't know. Do you think they trademarked forbidden rice, or do you think that forbidden rice is just a trademarked? I guess they did probably, but
yeah, no,
that's interesting because I just assumed it was the name of the varietal.
Yeah. Well, I think it's, yeah, I was looking at this and seeing if it was the red rice, but no, they said first sale and trademark of forbidden rice, pioneers in pigmented rice. So it's funny. I've only been aware of pigmented rice. Well, not pigmented, but forbidden rice for about 12 years. And it's been around for 25. So
what does pigmented rice mean? Does that mean the rice just has a natural pigment color, or does that mean I don't think they added anything, otherwise it would be in the ingredient panel. So
no,
it's just
I think
a
what
naturally
they do,
colored rice?
I think they partner with Patagonia, and the dye shops, and as the dye shops go through. Yeah, you know the story from Let Me People Go Surfing. The water comes into the Patagonia dye shop, and it's so dirty that they have to clean it. They do all their stuff, and then they clean it again before it leaves. And I think what they do is they use rice. So rice is a bioremediator and just kind of collects those colors. I've seen neon green rice. Yeah, it's pretty it's pretty closed loop, when we talk about circular economy.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, they do actually have I'm eating the forbidden rice, but they have a green, I forget what that one is. A green rice as well. I think that one's my least favorite for whatever reason, even though I think they're all usually kind of flavor neutral, but
Yeah.
for some there's like a little different texture on that one that doesn't cook as well, at least the last time I tried it.
Yeah. It's interesting, those different the different cooking times with it all. And it just, so everyone knows, if it wasn't obvious, I was joking about the dye house and bioremediation and
Yeah.
Lotus Foods pigmented rice. So yeah,
You're not eating waste rice, don't worry about it.
you're not eating waste rice. Well, let's jump into their B Corp, because I think they're a founding Canadian B Corp. Best for the World honorees. Yep. Oh, well, not I think 2008 was the first B Corp in US. So progressively getting better, right? So 93, 95, 99, and 110. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, for sure. Change makers. Yeah, look at that. Their environmental. It's interesting that their environmental management systems aren't higher, but the toxin reduction and remediation. That's
I mean, it might be just because of the resources. Even if they are doing it better, there's still a lot of resources being dumped into growing something like rice.
Yeah, look at that community side of it. 20 points, over half their points on community is supply chain poverty alleviation.
Yeah, that's probably why they get the best for change makers. I'm guessing is the community award.
Mm-hmm. Do you do a transparency disclosure report for your B Corp?
No.
No. Yeah.
Do you?
No. I mean, it doesn't make sense for what we do as a small consulting company.
Yeah. I don't.
Unless there's been some
want verification of how much water we're using in the studio or something.
Exactly.
Although we are working on our carbon neutral certification right now, so we're having to track
Which
a
one
bunch
are you
of, and
using?
it's interesting trying to do that right now. We're using I think it's a newer startup, but it's a nonprofit called We Are Neutral, and I just liked their mission of they're helping people quantify their carbon for free with no expectation of you having to use them for anything else. But then obviously, if you want, you can certify / offset anything that needs to be offset through them as well. And I think that's how they then kind of fund things. But I honestly checked in with a few different carbon neutral certifiers, and they're all just backed up. The main one, I forget the name of the organization, but the mark that you see on a lot of brands these days, I think they said they've got a year-long waiting list or I don't know, something like that, just to even get in their process. So you got to go with what you can, but We Are Neutral. If anyone's curious, they seem to have some availability.
You don't have any biases. You're neutral.
I am neutral on which neutral certifying body I go through, but maybe as I learn more about it, I'll have more bias.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, what I was saying is it's interesting to quantify that energy in a work from home kind of environment, because we're literally having to get everyone on the team to submit their energy consumption reports, and then submit travel and all these other kind of things that are lower now than they usually are. But it's an interesting process, different from when you own your own facilities. So it's probably a group like this where you got to quantify all these different farms you're sourcing from, right? Because you're counting on other people to provide you information.
Yeah, and I love that you're doing all three scopes: scope 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Looking at that other side. Yeah, I was just looking at the products that Lotus Foods offers, and I haven't seen these boil-in bags or heat and eat pouches. Maybe not boil-in bags. Yeah.
I think I've seen Lundberg doing some things like that, but I hadn't seen Lotus.
Mm-hmm.
I
Squeeze
don't know if I'm a
unopened
big
pouch.
fan of heating stuff in plastic pouches, but that that convenience thing is huge. I think I remember looking into some data a while back that millennials especially are super hardcore on convenience, at least before this whole COVID work from home phase. They were wanting stuff that they could take to work or eat on the bus or whatever, just grab and go kind of situations, or even just like take hiking with you or something like that. So convenience became a big thing. I'm not sure if the next generation Z or whatever is as big on it. So I could see why they jumped into this. From a health standpoint, I think it's questionable about boiling stuff in a plastic bag.
Well, I don't think they boil it. I think they add water, is what it says here.
No, just heat
But
exchange
still,
of plastic.
yeah, and I'm sure they've done their work around, the leaching of plastic once you heat it.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very conscious company. They've probably looked into it, but it is interesting too, though, that I think you're right. I think they are part of the OSC, but I don't see them jumping into compostable packaging. Maybe they've tested it and for their product it doesn't work, or maybe it's a shelf life issue that's tough for them, since they are dry, kind of shelf stable product that's maybe not moving as fast as fresh product. Compostable packaging just might not make sense for them. But based on their package, it looks like they could potentially at least do a single layer of plastic, maybe. And
they don't
therefore
talk
have a
about
hypothetically recyclable pack, but that's always questionable because, usually flat plastic that doesn't have like a rigid form to it is pretty difficult to move through the material recovery system in our country, at least, which makes it only theoretically recyclable. But they could at least be theoretically recyclable.
Well, one of the things too, I think they're dealing with the supply chain and areas of the supply chain where they could actually have the most impact. Packaging is such a small part of an overall impact when you look at the GHG side of it. However, to your point, with more plastic in the world, like those microplastics get locked up, or not get locked up, they get dispersed. Hopefully they get locked up, get dispersed into water and everything else. So, but
yeah, I've seen some of our clients who, for those same reasons, like compostable packaging or recyclable packaging is sometimes just like 4 times the cost of regular packaging, and they can't really absorb that cost in their margins, or they don't want to pass it on to consumers or whatever. So you get to the point where you got to stay in this landfill packaging for whatever reasons, whether it's the lifespan of your product or cost or just feasibility or whatever else it is. But some companies popped up somewhat recently. I think one of them is called, I want to say, Repurpose Global. I believe they're the company that's doing plastic offsetting, sort of like carbon offsetting, to where you can be part of their program and offset your plastic use. I haven't dug super deep into it. Maybe I'll have to do a Evolve CPG podcast with them or something like that. But it'd be interesting to dive deeper into that. Like, how are they offsetting that plastic? Are they actually? I think I might remember now. Somebody was telling me. I think what they do is they go and clean up the ocean plastic or something with the money you give them to offset, something like that. But we'll have to look into that.
For sure. Maybe we can check out their website and look at a brand that's using it.
Yeah.
So, well, I feel good. Just a nice hearty bowl of soup, all the probiotics, and get to talk to you. My lunch break is going to be over here soon. So I wonder if we should maybe add up a score.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. I think I started
so
last
let's
time.
see. Yeah, so product. The only knock I can give them on their product, because otherwise it seems really solid, is just like cook time is a little bit longer than you would expect. That's literally it. So it's like if you're used to other noodles cooking real fast, especially rice noodles, these ones take a little bit more time. But like beyond that, like good quality product, clean ingredients, unique kind of more heirloom varietals, so on and so forth, good texture, good mouthfeel, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I can't really think of a complaint on the product. So I'd got to give them at least 9.5 or 10 or something on product.
Okay.
Should we go category by category? Maybe you grade on product too, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I think I would agree. I'd go like 9.5. They're a go-to staple. We love them, and I think even if they weren't a B Corp, they weren't doing awesome things, we'd still buy the product. It's just bonus that they're doing the other stuff. So I would give them a 9.5. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so brand. So brand on this one, I feel like they've got a really solid kind of modern foodie look to them, where they're not looking overly crunchy or kind of niche natural market, but they also still fit in the natural market. I don't know if it's their color palette or that kind of logo mark with the kind of sun ray, which is a bit generic because a ton of people use that same kind of design style for their mark.
That's a
and their
lotus
type.
flower.
Yeah, and their type isn't necessarily distinctive or anything, but like they somehow pull that balance, that like generic brand elements with just really nice photography that I think brings it to life. So they feel like they're good for mainstream and good for natural. And I can't think of much bad in terms of like their brand reputation or anything. They've got a great reputation in the industry, at least. So yeah, I would give them pretty high marks on brand as well. I haven't seen much I would complain about. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take that back. I think it would be great if they put more information on their package, at least a little bit, about their impact and their mission, something like that, because I feel like that might help consumers connect with them a little bit more beyond just like a good product. So I'm going to step back a little bit about on the brand and say maybe they could come up with something a little more unique than that kind of spread of rice lotus flower kind of thing. And then I would say they should have some more information on their packaging about impact or the company in general. So I don't know. Let's give them like an 8.
An 8. Yeah, I think I would agree. I might go 8.5 with that, but also for the points that you shared, I'm okay with the lotus rice flour. I think it's kind of interesting, so I wonder if there's copycats out there that have kind of taken that image. Maybe they're the OG.
I think it's like the design industry in general has done just so many of those kind of logos over and over again. I feel like it's been like a logo trend for a decade or something like that. So I don't know if anyone was copying them. I don't know if this is their original logo or not. I'd have to dig into that. But regardless, it doesn't feel like it has a ton of substance. It's not a bad mark, but
yeah, they could freshen it up. Yeah. But I think with you, what I agree with most with yours was really like there's such an opportunity to tell a story on the packaging, and whether it's to attract new customers or even just to inform people, because I wonder how many people buy the product because it's an awesome product, because it's gluten-free, because of all this stuff, and how much more psyched they would be if they had like a little bit of origin story, even just like, did you know, right? Similar to what Kettle did on the back of their product. And maybe they just
checking out I was just checking out the bigger Costco bag to see if they added anything on there, but it's the same amount of information. So yeah, especially for those Costco crowds. I think the natural market crowds probably know Lotus and know that they're awesome, but those Costco crowds probably are just buying it because they're organic noodles, and it would be nice to be able to tell a little bit more story there about the SRI or their impact or their better pay or whatever else.
Totally. Yeah, and then just kind of weaving into impact. I mean, the impact is amazing. I love all that they're doing and continue to do. I think it would be interesting for me as a consumer, and maybe not to the broad stroke level that I think Impossible. I think that was the impact calculator that I had to put in, consuming 4,000 Possible burgers or whatever.
That's a weird calculator.
But something similar to what Guayaki does. I eat these noodles. Like, how much water do I save? And I'm not sure if would be maybe just a fun thing to have, right? And how much use they get, I don't know, but it is kind of fun to just play around, especially when we're doing these things. Come on, Lotus Foods. Build a calculator for Gage and I to play with.
Yeah,
As
don't
we,
make us have to look up how much water is used in a shower. Just tell us.
I want to know. But yeah, I love how their stories first and foremost, which is that disconnect, right? That we talked about with the brand itself on pack brand is
Yeah.
they don't tell that story. There's almost these two different channels of ideas. But with
Yeah.
impact, I'm going to give them a 9. With all the 9.5. I aim 9.5 Gage. Drop.
I was going to ask like how you feel about their overall, like we dug around in some of their B Corp score and sustainability page. Some of the brands we've looked at are just like super, super deep on reporting all their materiality.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're probably at an appropriate place for the size of their company. They're being transparent. They're reporting what they can, but they're not going, way overboard and just dumping information on you. So I would tend to agree in terms of impact. It seems like they're considering not just their environmental impact, but their social impact, and ethics and other things along the supply chain as well. So I appreciate all that. It could be interesting to see them considering packaging. I know it's a small percentage, but baby steps, like maybe there's something they could be doing. But I know that this is common for the industry. It's like really hard to tackle that packaging because it's so expensive and there aren't great options, and it's a 3% of your overall impact or something. So not a top priority for a lot of companies. But overall they seem to be doing things well. So yeah, I'll give them like a 9 there. Maybe if they had a couple other commitments in there that we could see or something like that, maybe it would get higher, but 9 seems solid.
Okay. So on product, they get a 9.5, on impact a 9.25, and on brand an 8.25. And are we adding all those things up? I
think that's what we normally do. Yeah.
Let me pull up my calculator here.
You can't do that in your head, man. Come on.
I know I should. Okay, well I can. So 18.75.
I was kidding.
27. Yeah, it's a solid 9. There we go.
Boom. Is it?
Boom.
Nice.
In my head. Well, I'm gonna have to double check that.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Hey Gage, one thing that we've talked about here that I think could be kind of fun, and maybe anyone who's watching this can give us some feedback, but I'd love to do a live session.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll have to look into that. So we'll look into tools, and maybe one of our next few episodes we'll go live and see what happens.
So my math was off. I knew that. It was 26, not 27. So 8 points. I know. Rookie. Yeah. 8.66 is the score for Lotus.
That's a solid score. Yeah,
that is a solid score for sure.
I was just thinking we need to come up with our own, like, what's the minimum score to be Evolve CPG certified?
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, I think if they go through the conscious brands assessment, then we can start looking at that human side a little bit more.
Yeah.
How conscious is
that'll
the
get
brand?
them some more points. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. In my books, and I think your books as well. Yeah.
And we are the ultimate judges here, so that's all that matters is our books, right?
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Well,
right.
Great
nice
seeing
sharing
you.
a meal with you. Thanks for the inspiration
always.
to put some sauerkraut in my noodles. I'm gonna try that next time.
Well, if I could send you a jar of sauerkraut across the border, I totally would.
Well, I might be coming up that way sometime when borders open up a little bit more, so you can give me some sauerkraut then.
Sounds good. Well, maybe Vancouver in February. All right.
Sounds
Gage
good.
Mitchell.
Cheers.
Great chatting. Okay, ciao.